Hey everyone, how's it going? In this video, we'll be talking about numbers in numeric data in Python. Numbers are one of the most common data types in Python. Most of the programs you'll be writing in Python will most likely be dealing with numbers. Numbers can either be classified as integers or floating point numbers. Integers are just whole numbers. Some examples of integers are 4, 8, and -7. Floating point numbers are commonly referred to as floats or numbers with a decimal point. Some examples of floating point numbers are 2.1, 4.7, and -3.9. We can also print numbers to the screen. Let's say if I wanted to print 4 and run the program, Python will print out 4 to the screen. Let's try a decimal. And let's print this out to the screen and run the program. Python should be fine with that, and it just prints a number. Let's try to make this number negative. Run the program and it makes it negative. Let's do some operations with numbers. Let's try 2 plus 3. Run the program. Python should return 5. Let's try subtraction. 9 minus 5. Run the program and Python gives us 4. 6 times 4. Run the program. Python gives us 24. 16 divided by 2, we get 8. If we want to do a power in Python, we have to do the double asterisk sign. Let's try 4 to the power of 2 and run the program. And when we run the program, we get 16. Let's try 3 to the power of 4. 3 to the power of 4, we should get 81. Run the program, and that's what we get. Float division is if we get a floating point number, it rounds the number down. Let's try regular division with a number 11 divided by 3, and we run the program, we should get a floating point number, and we got 3.6. If we do float division and round the number down, and we run the program, it round the number down to 3. The modulus operator is when we divide a number, but we get the remainder. Let's try 4 mod 4. Run the program, and we get 0. Let's try 5 mod 4. Run the program, and we get 1. 6 mod 4, run the program, and our remainder is 2, so it gives us 2. Let's try some order of operation. Let's say if I want to do 3 times 4 plus 5, it always starts with multiplication, and it will just do addition after. We get 17. Even I could change up the order a little bit. Let's try 4 plus 5 first, then it will multiply 3. We run the program, we got 27. Let me just delete all these and let me create a new variable called num. Num will be set equal to 4. Print out the number we set in the variable, run it, and Python will print out the number to the screen. We can also set our num variable equal to num is equal to num plus 2. But if we print out the number, we're going to get something completely different. We're not going to get 4, we'll get something different. We run the program, we got 6. The reason why this works is because it takes a number and it adds 2 and it set the new num and it got equal to 6, so that's why I printed out 6 instead of 4. It can even work with other operations like minus. We run the program and we get 2. Instead of just having to do this, we can also do something better like plus equals 2, and we run the program, we're still going to get what we want, 6. It even works with other operations like multiplication. We run the program and we get 8. Even works with the division and other operations and so on. And we run the program and it still works. Let me just delete all of these, and there's some functions that you can do with the numbers like round and abs. Let's go over them right now. So I'm just going to print round a floating point number and run the program. Python rounds the number down and we get 3. Let's try another number, 4.8. We run the program and Python rounds the number up to 5. One rule you guys should remember: if the decimal point right here is 5 or greater, it rounds the number up. If it's 4 or less, it rounds the number down. We can also pass in another parameter which will tell the place where we want to round it up. Let me just add some more decimals here. Let's say I want to round up to 2, which is the 100th place. Run the program and we should get 4.85. And the reason why this works is because it rounded the number up, which just gave us this number. Let's try the 1000th place, and we run the program. We get the number but added the places. Let's just remove the decimal point, and let's try rounding the numbers to the 10th place or 100th place. So let's round this to the tens place. And if you want to round to the tens or hundreds or thousands place, we must use negative in the second parameter. Let's run the program, and it just rounded up the number. Instead of just using the 4, it gave us 0. Let's try the hundreds place and run the program. We get the number rounded, and this is our number. There's another function, numbers, that we can do called ABS, which is absolute value. So let me just change this and just remove one parameter. And what this function does, it tells the absolute value of a number. Let's try -4, run the program, and the absolute value of -4 is 4. Let's try positive number 6, and the absolute value of 6 is just the number itself, 6. Here's one rule with absolute value. If it's a negative number, it's going to be the opposite of the number. Like -4 is the opposite of 4, so that was our number. And for a positive number, it's just a number itself. The next function we'll be talking about is max. And what this function does, it gives us the maximum value. And when we use this function, we must pass in at least 2 parameters. Thus, we pass in 3 numbers, and we run the program. It'll give us the maximum number, and the maximum number is 6. Let me add a new number, and that number will be higher. Run the program, and the maximum number was 9. Let's try min, which gives us the minimum number right here. If we run the program, and it gives us the minimum number. Let's try POW, which is pow, which gives us the power. And when we use this function, we must pass in at least 2 parameters. So let me just remove all this. We run the program, it gives 6 to the power of 2. Let's try 3. It gives us 6 to the power of 3, which is 216. Let's set 2 new variables called num1, and I'll set them equal to strings. And inside the string, I'll just put numbers. The next variable num2, I'll set that equal to string 6. And we want Python to give us a sum of these 2 numbers, but when we run the program, we'll get some error. We won't really get an error, but we're not going to get what we want. We're going to get something completely different. We run the program. Instead of getting 11, we got 56. And the reason why we got 56 instead of 11 is because those 2 numbers, they're strings instead of integers. So what we have to do is use the int function, which will convert them into integer and return the integer value. When we run the program, those 2 numbers, they've been converted into integers, and it'll give us the actual sum. And we run the program. Instead of getting 56 again, it gave us 11. Let's try it with floating point numbers. And now when we run this program, we'll run into an actual error. Let's run the program. See, we got an error here. And the reason why we got an error is because those 2 numbers are not integers, they're floating point numbers. So we're going to use the float function, because they will convert this thing into a floating point number. And when we run the program, we'll get the actual sum of these 2 numbers, and this is what we get. There are more math functions that we can do with numbers, but in order to access these functions, we must import a module called math. You guys probably don't know about modules yet, and if you don't, that is completely fine. We covered that in another video. In Python, we can import external code into our files. So first, we're going to have to import math. We've done that. So we now can access these functions. But to access these functions, we must print, and we have to math a dot in order to access these functions, like square root, and in the parameters write 36, and we run the program. Python should return 6. A function called ceil, which rounds the number up. Let's say 3.4, and we run the program. It rounds the number up to 4. There's also a function called math.floor, and we run the program, and it rounds the number down to 3. There's a function called math.pi, and it tells what is pi equal to. And if we run the program, it tells us what pi is equal to, and it's 3.14159, and so on. There's another function called math.pow, which tells us the power, and we must pass in 2 arguments. 3 to the power of 4, we run the program, we get 81. Let's try even bigger number, 3 to the power of 9, which get a really big number, and we just did right here. Instead of having to do math dot every single time, there's another thing we can do. We can do from math import star. And what will this do is that we do not have to write the math dot at all. So I'm just going to remove this, and we run the program. It still gives us the same number. Let's try ceil again, 3.9 I'll try. We run the program, and it still works. Here's a program which I have written myself, which uses strings, numbers, and variables. The first line of code is a comment, which just doesn't do anything, but it's just a program file name. The second line of code, which has a variable, and what we stored inside the variable is a string, and inside the string it says my name, Rishabh Kaware. The third line of code is another variable, and what we're storing inside this variable is an integer, and that integer is 13, and that's my age. The fourth line of code, which is your underscore name, is going to ask for an input from the user, and whatever it takes from the user, that will be stored inside this variable. And same thing for this line of code, your age, but it's asking for an integer instead of a floating point number or a string. The reason is because I want the age to be an integer. And the last three lines of code will just print everything out. Whatever was stored inside these variables, it'll print those things out. But for the ages, your age and my underscore age, it'll convert those things into a string. The program's already running. I'll do my brother's name, Tejas. He's 8 years old. And they'll say, my name is Tejas and I'm 8 years old. Your name is Rishabh Kaware and you're 13 years old. Thanks for telling me, Tejas. Here's another program which I've written called pizzaprice.py. And what this program will do is ask the user for the number of pizzas and the cost per pizza, then it will evaluate everything and give us the total cost. We have comments in this program which will explain how the program works. The first variable called number underscore of and underscore pizzas will take input from the user of how many pizzas do they want and evaluate using the eval function right here. And this variable called cost per pizza, which will ask another input from the user for how much does each pizza cost, and again evaluate it, and whatever was stored inside these two variables, they'll multiply, and that will be our subtotal. If we want to calculate the sales tax owed at 7% of the subtotal. The tax rate in New Jersey is 7%, so we set equal to 0.07, and the sales tax will be equal to the subtotal times the tax rate. Then we want to add that sales tax to the subtotal for the final total. So the total cost will be subtotal plus sales tax. And we want to show the user the total amount due including tax. So let's run the program. How many pizzas do you want? Let's say I want 8 pizzas. Each pizza, I'll just say a random number, $2. The cost is $17.12. This includes $16 for the pizza and $1.12 in sales tax. Now let's try building a basic calculator in Python. We'll be using numbers, variables, and inputs. Let me set a new variable, and that variable will be equal to num1. And what I want this variable to do is ask for an input from the user, and what I want it to be is an integer. So that's why I'm using the int function input, and in quotes we're going to write enter first number, and I'm just going to put a colon and a space. I'm going to create a new line, and I'm going to create a new variable called num2, and I want that to be an input, and I want it to be an integer. So I'm going to write in quotes enter the second number, and I'm going to create this colon and a space, and I'm going to want Python to print this thing out to the screen, num1 plus num2. We run the program, and it'll ask for the first number, 3, 2, and Python will return 5. Let's try for multiplication and rerun this program. I rerun the program, and let's try 6, 4, Python return 24. So that's it for today's video. If you feel like you've gotten value from this video, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend who you think might find it helpful. Please subscribe for more videos like this and hit that notification bell to be notified for more videos. Also, check out this video, which is the next video on our Python beginner series. Thank you guys for watching.